We live in an age where most of the content we come across is dark. Even the stuff happening around us in the real life is pretty dark right now.
You, Eleanor Shellstrop, are dead.
Cool. How?
The Good Place is a hugely refreshing breath of fresh air. It is a comedy show which spans for 4 seasons, 3 of which are right now available on Netflix. The fourth should be expected sometime soon. It's a very different show to say the least. Unlike most of the comedy shows that we've seen in the recent past, it does not base itself on romantic relationships, or it does not have an overload of sex jokes as we come across in most of the comedy shows. Even Friends, which happens to be my favorite comedy show, is overloaded with that. This one is something entirely different. Without spoiling anything, what we get to know in the first 5 minutes of the first episode of the show is that some people have died and they have reached the heaven, which they kind of call the good place, and then things go haywire, and then they have to figure things out, and so on and so forth. It's pretty much like most of the comedy shows that we have seen, because at the bottom of all comedy shows we have that moral and ethical line which tells us to be nice and follow ethics and all of those things. Most recently, Parks and Recreation showed us that even if the job is thankless, you cannot give up doing good for others. And Houseful, if you have seen, which now has become a show which is two generations old, it constantly kept pouring you with ideas of morality and ethics. This show does that too, but in a completely different and innovative way. Now, what I'm going to start explaining may sound a little boring, but trust me, the show is anything but boring. It is a laugh riot. It is something so delightful that I can't imagine anyone not enjoying it. This show, particularly, throws a lot of light on not just philosophy but ethical philosophy. While watching the show, I came across so many ethical philosophers which I knew very little about. And there were a few names here and there which I didn't know at all about. So what this show does is each episode they would try to pick up some ethical philosophy, they would explain it, and then they would explain that how it works and how it doesn't work, and towards the end of the episode they will tweak that ethical philosophy a bit, which makes a lot more sense and is more suitable for the times that we live in. The work that the writers have done on this show is commendable. It's just not easy to to have a crash course in ethical philosophy and turn it into a comedy show, which this show very effectively does. The show spans for 4 seasons. The season one is more or less an introduction, and it leads you into a different world, and then season two, season three, and season four follow that. Uh, be warned about one thing: the first few episodes of every season do appear to be a little repetitive. You start watching the show and you're like, oh god, they're gonna do the same thing all over again, and I'm not interested. But what happens is that particular story arc gets over in one episode or two, and then they take another arc altogether, and then they explore the whole setup very differently. Unlike the usual trend that we have these days, I would advise you not to binge watch this show. On the contrary, just enjoy one episode every day, and let this show span over some period of time and enjoy it as much as you possibly can, because it has that lingering quality that keeps on going on in your mind, and most of all they will throw some very thoughtful ideas at you, and you won't be doing justice to those ideas if you don't let them turn in your head and think about them more. This show has been received very well critically as well, and people are talking about it a lot. I'll share a link for a video below which talks about how this show has taken the comedy sitcoms to another level, and how it is reinventing the idea of sitcom philosophy altogether, and it's very interesting to watch. I think in an age where things like Game of Thrones and The Walking Dead and Breaking Bad and all of those shows have been so popular, where we have become used to seeing fountains of blood sprouting out everywhere here and there, I think this show definitely demands a watch, and I don't think you should give it a miss. I really hope you'll enjoy watching this show as much as I did. Thank you.